Grab your map, it's time to head back into the forest as Black Forest Labs have released Flux 3, and it's a video model with some impressive specs. Plus a landmark moment for AI filmmaking. One film is getting a theatrical release. Zack London, aka Gossip Goblin, is headed to the silver screen. We'll talk about that, but more importantly, I've got a breakdown on his workflow that you will definitely learn a thing or two from. Okay, Gretel, get your breadcrumbs for the forest and your popcorn for the movies. Kicking off, Black Forest Labs returns with a surprise, the long-awaited video model that was teased at the launch of Flux 1 way back in August of 2024. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. But never take a cake out of the oven early, especially if it's a Black Forest cake. I was gonna say strudel, but last time I made that joke, the Austrians got really mad at me. I had no idea that strudels were so contentious. Anyhow, the question, of course, on everyone's mind is how does it stack on the Seedance scale? Well, I mean, it's there-ish. For some quick specs, Flux 3 can generate up to 20 seconds, which is awesome because, well, I mean, 10 seconds just does not feel like it cuts it anymore. It's also a multimodal model, meaning you can input references, up to 10 of them, or audio or video inputs for editing or remixing. Plus, of course, all these standard aspect ratios from 9:16 to 21:9, and of course, yes, it does generate audio. Currently, we are essentially in the launch window. I've had a little bit of time to play with it in early access, so resolution is currently limited to 720, but 1080 will be rolling out shortly. So all that said, how does it look? Well, let's fire it off with a quick trailer for the new Netflix show, Flux 3, Return to the Black Forest.
The Flux died here.
Correction. In time.
I mean, I'd probably watch it. So that was text to video. As a quick note, it was upscaled in Topaz because, well, the 720ness of it all. The prompt was very simple. Just make me a trailer for a Netflix show titled Flux 3, Return to the Black Forest. I do think that we can surmise that this is a reasoning or thinking video model. And while perhaps not completely perfect in terms of the output, I mean, it is pretty good. Now, on the image to video side, I do have to admit I was having some difficulty there. Again, this was early access and it was through Discord haters, I'm now officially on your side. So the main issue is that I was having problems getting my image references to stick. I don't think that'll be the case for release. And that said, I did manage to get off our standard test of an FBI agent drinking coffee in a Pacific Northwest diner.
That's a damn fine cup of joe. But how's the pie?
It's really good. It's an old recipe from the log lady who got it from the owls.
I'm still waiting to order.
Yeah, that lady in the background finally got something to say. And if you've been watching this test for the last year or so, yeah, that poor woman has been waiting to order for quite some time. And while she does kind of get cut off at the end there, I do think that if anything, that goes to show you exactly how much that extra 5 seconds buys you. My final test before checking out some community outputs was on prompt coherence. So running one of the more difficult Seedance tests, prompt on screen by Coda, the 15 shots in 15 seconds hyperpop frantic day loop, we get this. We do normally run this prompt with this character, but again, I was running into issues, at least on the Discord side in that early test group, of my image references not attaching to my prompts. I'm sure that will be fixed in no time if it hasn't already been fixed. But overall, I mean, I think it did a pretty good job in terms of prompt coherence. I'm not gonna get into like a head-to-head with Seedance 2.0 because, I mean, to be honest, it's just not that interesting to me. What is interesting to me is how this model performs in terms of, again, coherence. Now, I will note that it does not have some of the like hyperpop kinetic energy that the Seedance output had, and it certainly doesn't have a few of those like, trick shots with fisheye lenses and, rapid camera movement. That said, everything that I asked for is here, so there is that. So Flux 3 might not be your go-to for your like hyper heavy fast action sequences, at least currently. Again, we are just looking at launch and there's a lot of updates that are coming, so we'll see. That said, it can do some pretty cool stuff already. For example, moving on to some community outputs, I mean, I think that this is a pretty good dramatic scene.
When it actually mattered, you picked up the phone and told me exactly where I was.
Yes, I told them the truth because I stood at that window every night watching you disappear into this thing and already buried my brother. I was not going to stand there and bury you too.
The truth. You said it, they came, and everything we had went with them. That's the whole story.
No, the truth was the last piece of you. I still recognize, and even standing here, even losing you.
My theory is that by the end of the movie, he'll have overcome his demons, but it'll be too late because she's moved on, but that's okay because he's got a sequel to get to. I mean, overall, that's some pretty decent acting. Definitely some very rapid fire dialogue. I mean, that is north of Gilmore Girls. I say Gilmore Girls because it's been on a lot at the house lately. I actually forgot. I mean, that show is really, really great. And you can get some cool like action alien invasion type stuff out of it as well. This was in the test group and I missed who it was because Discord, so I can't properly credit, but the generation is pretty cool. So overall, we are very early into this model, like it is like day one. So there's gonna be a lot to discover about it. But I think the big takeaway here is this going to replace Seedance in your workflow? No, I mean, no, probably not. Is it going to augment it? Yeah, I mean, that I certainly think it can. There's no word on pricing yet for Flux 3, nor have I heard about anything about open sourcing as of yet, as I'm sure many of you are wondering. Editor Tim breaking in with some good news. Apparently, open weights are in the launch plan, so we will be seeing that at some point soon. But either way, I do expect that generation costs will be lower than Seedance pricing, which, I mean, I don't think anyone can argue is a lot. Again, this is like launch day, so this is the very earliest version of the model. So again, I do expect a number of updates to be coming along. In the meantime, you can sign up for the early access waitlist to Flux 3 at the link down below. And as we get into a wider release, I will be taking a much deeper look into it. In the meantime, I mean, well, it's just good to be back in the forest. Moving on, we have the biggest AI film theatrical release to date. The juggernaut that is Gossip Goblin is going to the movies. So let's talk about that plus his workflow. But first, a quick word on second brains from our friends at Genspark. Something cool and new from our friends at Genspark, who just rolled out a thing that I know a little something about. Second brains. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I've built a few of these, and I mean, there's one thing I can tell you. It's that a second brain is a genuinely powerful tool to have in your arsenal, but it also can be a real pain in terms of upkeep. Just like real brains, if you don't keep the clutter away, the wires start to get a little scrambled. Even worse, untangling those wires can be a real rabbit hole of feature creep, and while if you're anything like me, you'll find yourself 6 weeks into a brain build suddenly realizing that you haven't actually done anything on the project you were building the brain for. And that is why Genspark's second brain is great. It skips all of that. No architecture, no maintenance, simply feed it and it organizes itself. Plus, it's got something no other software second brain has: hardware. I'll circle back to this in just a minute. So as a test, I gave it everything I've been accumulating for the Planet Hell series that I've been developing, well, let's be honest, forever. All the notes, all the drafts, the world building, basically everything that I've been noodling on. Second Brain hoovered all of that up in no time, and I was able to start asking it questions about the project and discovering all the little decisions I said I'd get to later. For example, if I ask, what outfit did we put Tom in for episode 1? It knows that we have him in the orange jumpsuit, but it also knows that I haven't locked my visual references yet. See? Second brain, working already. Plus, the more you feed it, the smarter it gets. So when I pop in my episode 2 script, it'll continue growing, knowing even more about the world. And obviously by the time we hit episode 5, it'll have built up a whole bunch of context about the world. And here is where it gets really slick. With one click, I can hand all of that over to Genspark's super agent, and it'll build out an entire spreadsheet with like all of my decisions and like everything that is going on with the story. Very informative. I'm not even a big spreadsheet guy, but this does give me a very good overhead view of everything contained across all of my brainstorming documents. Another nice little surprise, all of my previous Genspark sessions were already in my second brain waiting for me. This was the Dragon Blue presentation that we did a few videos back. Now for the hardware, this is kind of cool. The second brain Note is a slim credit card-like device that snaps onto the back of your phone with MagSafe. Although optionally you can just slip it right into your wallet. Although I do like the kickstand thing that it comes with, and I keep all of my credit cards in there anyhow. So whenever you're out and about and you suddenly have an idea, or you're in a meeting, you just hold the button for 2 seconds and it's recording. Tap it once to bookmark the good stuff, hold it again to stop, and all of that syncs right to your second brain automatically. No pulling out your phone, no opening an app. The idea is captured and the brain is fed. Now, obviously this is just the creative side of a second brain. You can of course connect all of your other business business and administrative applications, Gmail, Notion, Slack, and so on, all with toggles that decide what it sees. So if you've ever wanted a second brain, but the lift was too heavy for your first brain, Genspark now has you covered. The limited first release of Genspark's Second Brain Note is available right now, and normally it is $199, but if you use my link below, you'll get 10% off, bringing it down to $179. Check it out in the link in the description. And my thanks to Genspark for sponsoring today's video. Moving on, I would definitely call this a landmark moment for AI filmmaking, as Gossip Goblin, who I'm sure most of you are aware of, if not, the links down below, definitely go check out his stuff, has a feature-length film coming out. And more than that, it will be a theatrical release. And look, we're not going to go too deep into the Gossip Goblin backstory, but very quickly, if you are not aware, Zack London is the guy behind Gossip Goblin. He was recently called the George Lucas of AI filmmaking by The Hollywood Reporter. And all right, sure. Does that also mean that he's going to go back and revise all of his previous work like 300 times? I don't think so. But obviously, GG does have a pretty rabid cult following. So look, it makes sense in this current age of like Curry Barker's Obsession and Markiplier's Iron Lung, that if you're going to back an AI filmmaker with YouTube pedigree for theatrical release, well, Gossip Goblin is the smart play. I haven't gone too deep in researching how distribution is actually going to roll out. If you're interested, I've actually become pals with Fable's Edward Sachi, who is producing the film. So possibly as we get closer to release, if you guys are interested, we can have him on to discuss that aspect of it. In the meantime, I would highly recommend going and checking out the half-an-hour short film Pomegranate that Gossip Goblin just released. You don't need to know anything in advance. It works as its own standalone. It is very good. And from a technical standpoint, I think an interesting game that viewers of this channel might be interested in playing is that as you're watching it, don't count the moments where you clock that something is like AI generated. Instead, take note of when you don't see it, because the final tally on that number is much more interesting. And to that, I am sure that you are curious to see how Zack and the team pull all this off. Well, as a quick run through, we actually do have a lot of good information on this from two sources. First, friend of the channel, PJ Ace, had a deep dive interview with Zack where they went over workflow. And secondly, again, friend of the channel, Chris Branch's AI live show just did an interview with him yesterday. PJ's deep dive is from about 2 months ago, which practically makes it ancient. That said, I think that there's still plenty to mine from. For one, Gossip Goblin begins generation in Midjourney, specifically not just the straight vanilla Midjourney, but instead utilizing and honing in on a number of personalization and SREF codes. Interestingly, at the time of this deep dive, again 2 months ago, Zack was focusing in on Midjourney version 7 as opposed to 8.1. I do not know if that's changed since then, but the key takeaway here is that nothing begins in Nano Banana. Rather, Midjourney is the generator, Nano Banana is the Photoshop and manipulation. The other interesting aspect is that there's no multi-referencing or omni-referencing in his video generations. They are all first frame image to video. Now, the reason that Zack goes with first frame image to video as opposed to using multi or omni references is that essentially he wants to maintain camera control. I do have to admit, I really do sort of agree with him there. I do feel like in some ways, a lot of the omni and multi models are kind of making this a little bit lazy. Interestingly, because they're not using omni-ref or like multi-referencing video generation, there isn't like one master character sheet for their characters. Instead, they're like modularly putting these characters in to the scene. So what I take that to mean is that there's probably a one image for the front of the character, one image for the side, one image for the back, and then utilizing that for each location and pasting, having Nano Banana like basically comp those in. So for the previous Gossip Goblin film, The Patch Right, which PJ was covering here, Kling did all of the animations there. But if you check out Pomegranate, that's definitely Seedance. So I think it might be interesting if you haven't seen it to go check it out, considering that it was made in Kling, again, an old model, just to see like where you clock it at and if that takes you out of the film at all. I don't think it will. More tips in PJ's article, which will be linked down below. Ultimately, I do encourage you to sit down and watch Pomegranate in its full 30-minute glory on the biggest TV you have, not your computer screen, and for sure not on your phone. Watch it like where you watch movies and TV shows and just enjoy it. It's really good. And obviously between the Gossip Goblin theatrical release news and of course the recent Neil Blomkamp film release, a lot of interesting big movements are happening in AI filmmaking. And just as an admin note, we just shared a bunch of Gossip Goblin tips there, and I'll be sharing more of my tips in an upcoming live webinar with Teachable's AI Academy. It's free to attend live, and well, it'd be awesome if you could make it. The link is down in the description. I do hope to see you there. In the meantime, I thank you for watching. My name is Tim.
You didn't put me in this video. People get mad when I'm not in the video.